What up, everybody? Welcome to Creeps of the Crypt. I'm your host, John, along with my co-host.
Elder Allen, welcome back, guys.
That's right, and we have a good episode to talk about for once. I mean, not for once,
At
but
last. Yes.
recently, yeah, recently now we have a good episode, and this episode is called "The Ventriloquist Dummy," and it was originally aired on June 5th, 1990. It was directed by Richard Donner and written by a familiar name for some people who know, and other people that might not know. It was written by Frank Darabont, based off of a comic written by William N. Games, and well, I'll talk about that later. But somebody else too, the penciler is important. But yeah. So Frank Darabont, he is the at best not the creator of The Walking Dead, but he was the I guess adapted creator because he wrote the script for the comic from the comic book, and that's what launched this amazing. Without Frank Darabont, that show would not have been as good as it was when it was first originally filmed and written. Anybody else would be a hack. He's a phenomenal writer. I mean, Shawshank Redemption, The Mist, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Or is it 4? No, 3. Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The best one, technically. He co-wrote supposedly, but he really wrote it, as you could tell he's a writer. So yes, Frank Darabont's The Green Mile. You know, he's a phenomenal writer, director as well. And yeah, so he wrote this episode, which is no wonder it's great. This is a really good episode. But why don't you tell us what this episode is all about?
Yeah, the episode stars Bobcat Goldthwait. He's an inspiring ventriloquist, and he's a really big fan of as a kid, watching Don Rickles, who also stars in this episode. Who plays Mr. Ingalls. That's a ventriloquist he saw as a kid, so he was really taken by his acts. So little does he know, there's more to Don Rickles' characters than just skills for being a ventriloquist, which will delve into the episode as we go along. But that's kind of the setup for this episode, ventriloquist dummy that we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah, this episode, not really much to it. It's just a great episode. That's it. It's just this ventriloquist, and this little kid sees him at a nightclub, I guess. I don't know why the parent. Well, whatever year this is supposed to take place, probably the 60s or something. And Don Rickles is a ventriloquist, and he has his dummy, and he's making jokes, and then there's a little bit of Don Rickles actually came out, I think. I'm not sure Frank Darabont wrote every word, because there's a part where Don Rickles starts attacking some of the audience members, and that was Don Rickles' thing. Like he do crowd work. Oh, by the way, there's a little line in the beginning, or not a line, there's a little package in the beginning with the Crypt Keeper, where he says, "I just got this package from, was it Hack Me Inc.?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that's a great pun. And that's because there's two ways to use hack for the Crypt Keeper, right? Or just for the episode. One is, like the Crypt Keeper hack is like, hacking something, chopping something, right? The other is what comedians call bad comedians. They call them hacks. Like Kevin Brennan is a comedian that used to be a writer on SNL, and now he's just a grumpy old man. He's just a miserable old curmudgeon. And he calls all the comedians all the time, he's such a hack. He's a hack. So, that's another aspect to look at it, like Hack Me Inc. That was pretty clever, and I'm pretty sure Darabont did that on purpose. If he wrote that segment.
Yeah, that was a good little additional writing to that one, especially given the nature of the episode. So it all ties well together, and I think that's kind of like a hallmark of a good Tales of the Crypt episode in general.
Yeah, and the who's doing the crowd work, and like calling people fat and saying these things, and then when he gets off stage, the little kid, he's like, "Oh, this guy is amazing." He thought everything was funny and hysterical, which I don't know. Maybe back in the day, I could see somebody like watching a ventriloquist and wanting to do that. With my history of ventriloquism, I guess you could say, or knowledge of them, I'm not very keen on wanting to be friendly or like nice. I don't know. It's like, okay, so this episode's like, this has been a theme, I think, for I guess through comic history or just in general writing, because the first thing I saw with Ventriloquist was the Twilight Zone. They have an episode with Ventriloquist in it, where the Ventriloquist comes to life, kind of. But it can't walk like Chucky or anything like that. But they did it so well that I could see why people in the 60s probably freaked out or got scared from that episode. As a kid, I was like, this is kind of scary. They'd use shadows and things, and then the voice is like haunting him. Let's say Batman, the animated series, not just the animated, the comic books, the Ventriloquist. I mean, oh, and I just found recently, which is hilarious, because I didn't know that I knew we were gonna get to this episode, but I didn't. It was just magically happened, right? I was on Peacock, and there's a movie called Magic. I think it stars Anthony Hopkins, and it's about a ventriloquist who becomes a serial killer. And that came out in like 1970 something, I think. And I was like, that's amazing. But like, so I got the Twilight Zone, I got Goosebumps when I was a kid. There's Night of the Living Dummy was the name of the issue. So that was interesting. Slappy, I think he's called. And then,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That was like, I remember that issue too. That's like number 7, I think. I'm just going off memory. I could be wrong. I loved it. I love it. I have it, but it's in storage. Well, not all. Up to when they stopped sucking. The Goosebumps started sucking when it was pick your own ending. I hated that.
No, I've never been a fan of that. Picking your own path. I mean, there's a place for them, but if usually they don't end up being that great. I'd rather just have one exclusive vision, and then that's it. Have it be that. Mm-hmm. But I find it, I never found it interesting either as a kid. That's true though. Yeah, there's been a lot of those kind of elements of these puppetries or ventriloquist dummies being used as I mean, even the one in the Twilight Zone. I remember that episode. I mean, that one, for its time, I'm sure they were scared of it too. That's probably Chucky before their time. For our time, I mean, it's because that dummy was pretty, it was pretty scary looking. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these have their own elements of unsettledness, because they could just they're just blank staring at you, and then got big eyes. It's just I always found them a little creepy as a kid.
Yeah.
Never owned one. I was afraid to own one of these things.
I actually have one that's haunted. I'm not sure how haunted he is. It's not an evil. Okay, people are gonna go, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
so we're not talking about Annabelle haunted, right?
No,
we're talking about
yes, kind of.
What kind? To what extent?
Well, I've used. Okay, so let me get to why. Before doing Ghost Crusaders TV, I was Ghost Crusaders, and I trademarked the name and everything, and I was planning to do a series on, paranormal investigating and trying to find, is there life after death? Is there something after death? Because when I was a kid, I had a paranormal experience, and other people in that house that I had it in also had that experience or a similar experience, not the same one, but, and I remember vividly, basically like I was sleeping in bed. I never even told this story, even when I did my show. Or my episodes, but I was in my bed sleeping in the bed in my friend's house in Long Island, and I was sleeping in the bed, and I looked, and there was a shadow of a man standing over the bed looking at me, and then it moved to the corner and sat down like if it was sitting in a chair, that there was no chair there, and I was bugging the fuck out, right? So ever since then, I kind of gravitated towards paranormal shows and stuff. So I always, was a fan, and I wanted to try it out. So little by little, I bought little pieces of equipment to investigate at a cemetery or something like that, or go to a location that was considered haunted, called the Devil's Tree, New Jersey. And it's really like the first time I caught a lot of audio responses. That literally, if I think there's clips up on YouTube, go to Ghost Crusaders, Devil's Tree. Maybe it's there. I don't know. But you can hear sounds like when it comes out. You can hear a little bit of radio interference there. You can. But at certain points, you hear what sounds like a voice from hell. And I've never heard that voice since then like that. And it was literally like, it responded like it said 3. And there was 3 of us there. But it sounds so like demonic. That tree supposedly, they do... There are people that perform seances there. They said that tree was used by the Ku Klux Klan to hang, African Americans and during, segregation at that time back in the day. So they said there's like blood of these men that were hanged and unjustly killed. And then other people say it's a portal to hell. That it's a gateway to hell because of all the seances and things that were done. Anyway, there was a lot of videos about this online, episode TV shows that talk about haunted locations and stuff like that. So that was the first place I went to. Then I went and I booked a location, and that location was when I actually believed, which is interesting to say. I'm sorry getting off on a tangent. I'll talk about the episode, but at this location was the first time I had actual evidence that we were the only ones in the building. We had keys to the place to lock it and everything. We were the only two there. And as clear as day at the end, well, first there was several things that happened, like several pieces of evidence that was like, oh my God. But the last piece of evidence was like, I drove home and I was just thinking, like, I can't believe this is real. Because I was a fan and I thought it was real, but I was always a skeptic in the back of my head. And I don't think anybody should even take my word for it, because I don't think you will. If you're a skeptic, you're a skeptic. You're going to be a skeptic, and that's fine. Until you have your own experience when you can't explain something, then that's when you'll believe. So I'm not even going to try to pursue people to believe. But anyway, that's why I have a haunted doll, because I collect these things. I used to, until I had a bad experience at a location which made me stop doing it for, I don't know how many years. I think it's been 3 years or 4. But also it was expensive to do that. Like, I was the one paying all the money to go to locations in Kansas and Pennsylvania, but talk about far, the boondocks in Pennsylvania, like 5-hour drive, 10-hour drive, upstate New York. Yeah, that was almost it was crazy. But long trips, Kansas was the worst. That's like 20-something hours. Or no, I think it's like 12. I don't know. I don't remember. It's a long drive from where I am. So
yeah.
That I think it was 22 hours, I think. And then but then again, there's two differences. Like when I went, it was so cheap gas. I can't imagine now, because that's another reason to not, let me do it, is the gas prices are ridiculous. But so I have a haunted doll, and I used a device that you can use to talk, and it responded. So I was like, oh, so this isn't a fake. Also, sometimes I would go to antique stores with a device that detects electromagnetic fields, and if there's a high spike and there's nothing around that could, like, no electricity, no outlets, no circuit breaker, and all of a sudden you get a spike on an object, I go, oh, I would buy that object. So that's why I have a haunted doll, and the one I have is a dummy, but it's not like this one. This one, it seems a little smaller. I don't know. And again, I don't have any history on it, or I just got it from an antique store. It had that spike, and then I used the device, and it responded. So I call him Chuck.
Well, I don't doubt it.
That's the name I gave
Chuck.
Yeah. Then no, there's another one too. I got this a doll, not a dummy. It's a doll, and I named him Billy. And those two seem okay. There's no negative. It might have, but nothing negative. So that's the positive there. But anyway, yes, that's long story to get to why. Yes, I've had I do own a ventriloquist dummy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let us know in the comments, folks, if you've owned a ventriloquist dummy or had your own experiences with the paranormal. I think I'm willing to believe it myself. I never had those experiences, but definitely not against the idea of it. I think it'd be a little bit just kind of closing your thought process there, which is not believing there's something after the afterlife. So I think there's a lot to it. I mean, there's so many people have reported and had so many stories. There's got to be some truth to it. I just haven't had any of those experiences personally.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Sometimes I'll see a video and I don't even believe it. So,
sometimes they get a little extra with the story.
Yeah.
Preposterous. Yeah.
But not many. There's a lot of TikTok videos and family and then when you reach out to them, you're like, listen, I would used to do that. I said, listen, let me go to your house, investigate. and silence. So I just let it go. I just say, okay. But anyway, yeah, it's very expensive to do that. But back to the episode. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for going off on a tangent. But yeah, so Don Rickles does crowd work. The kid goes back, and the kid like gets an autograph from him. And Don Rickles says, "What do you want to be when you grow up, kid?" And the kid goes, "I want to be a ventriloquist, I guess." And he goes, "Oh yeah." And the mother goes, "No, he doesn't. He wants to be a doctor. Tell him you want to be a doctor." "No, I don't want to be a doctor."
Little does she know.
Yeah. So then he goes, "Look me up." And then a beautiful lady, for some reason they're all attracted to Don Rickles. I don't think.
Yeah, all the ventriloquists get their babes, man. Did you know that? That's different times.
What's that? Jeffrey Dunham? Isn't he a comedian, right? He got a resurgence in his career because his dummy that he used ends up looking exactly like Joe Biden. So
yeah,
he uses that thing now all the time.
I forgot about that.
It was hilarious. It looks even more now because this guy looks
Walter,
so decrepit. Yeah. Walter, yeah. I just called him Mr. President. He's kind of funny. I didn't like his pickle thing. He is the best ventriloquist out there. The only one I know of that's still relevant and popular that still sells anything. But yeah, he has a resurgence.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, he goes to, it's funny because I found it like, I don't know what kind of club this was because like he's the only kid in this club and then he was with his parents. I don't know. He was telling some dirty jokes too, I guess, but they were pretty lax back then.
Yeah, back in the
let
60s,
the kid back there. Yeah, whatever time frame it was. So I guess he was expected to go on a date with this showgirl.
Oh my God, not even. Wait, it's not even in the, because it's supposed to be 1990, right?
It's hard to say. They never give a year as to when this takes place.
Modern. Yeah, so that would be 1975.
I'm gonna say roughly around there. Yeah. They had some neon lights there. I don't know how how modern those are.
Neon lights in the 50s.
Did they?
Yeah. Well, because I looked up when we were watching the favorite episode 1, Dead Right. I looked up like, were there strip clubs? Because she's working at a strip club in the fucking 50s. And I was like, when were strip clubs invented? And I looked it up and yeah, they were invented in the 50s. And I was like, damn, I didn't know. Well, they were invented a little bit before for the soldiers, right? But then, then it came to the States and people were trying to make money, bar and titties. So bar and titties, that works.
Hey, great combo.
Well. Yeah.
1910 is when the neon was invented. So
yeah, see.
Yeah, I guess not that old.
Yeah. So
well, I always think it's ahead of its time. I always think when it comes to neon lights. But yeah, it's somewhere around that point, and then once everything wraps up there, Billy the fan is heading off to bed, and then there's this fire that happens at the what was that, the club?
Yeah. So then it cuts 15 years later, and he is an older man, and he pulls up to this house has a chain over the front this driveway because he doesn't want any solicitors, and he comes out with his stupid. It's the kid now grown up, and he took what he said, "Look me up," legitimately, even though it's no way 15 years. Bobcat's not 25. Bobcat, this is probably 40. No, he's probably 36. He's an older guy at this point. And he comes out and he goes over. And remember, at this time in the 90s, early 90s, maybe he was, young back in the day. Younger kids look much older than they do now. But he goes.
Yeah, for sure.
He goes and he brings his stupid dummy with him, and he's horrible. He goes to the front door, he knocks on it, and then he's like, Mr. Engels, by the way, I didn't say, yes, Don Rickles plays Mr. Engels. Mr. Engels, the name Engels is reference to the penciler of the comic, the original comic, The Ventriloquist Dummy. The penciler's name was Graham Engels. So that's why they named Don Rickles' character Mr. Engels. So
that's a cool little Easter egg there we mentioned.
Yeah.
So look, Bobcat was born in '62. This episode came out in 90, right? He was 28 when this episode came out. So
yeah,
I guess you can make that
25, yeah.
That leap there. So he was about 13 at the time, maybe, when he was watching
that show.
I would say 10.
I guess maybe I would say 10. Yeah.
That's just like going off of the
So 15,
his
he's
real
25.
age, and
Or even if he was 13, yeah, he'd be 12. Yeah, that makes sense. But
something like that. Yeah,
he looks incredible. Like that's, I don't know. He's balding already.
he's balding. He's got the Paul Heyman ponytail before it started getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, and then so he goes and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Engels, it's me." You know his voice, because back then that's not even his real voice. He puts that voice on. I forgot if anyone what it was when he first started talking normal. And people were like, "What the fuck?" But at this point, he was popular because of that voice. I mean, he was a stand-up supposedly. I don't think it was very good. So from what I hear, Seinfeld hates Bobcat. Like that's the one person Jerry Seinfeld literally hates. Yeah. There's a video of him. They're referring to Bobcat, but they don't say Bobcat's name because somebody because that show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, he interviews some female comedian who works like with Bobcat all the time. And she mentions him in some way, shape, or form. And he goes, "I hate him." He goes, "He's not funny. He was never funny. That's why he has to do a voice." I was like, "Oh my God."
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it's pretty brutal. If I find a clip, I'll play it. No, it's just irrelevant. Well, it's not really relevant. But I don't know. I've never seen Bobcat do stand-up. I know when he went to, was it David Letterman or Jay Leno? I think it was Jay Leno. He set the couch on fire. And then he was banned from the Jay Leno show for his life. He couldn't go back on.
Oh, wow.
Even though supposedly he said he told Jay he was going to do that. And Jay said, okay. But I don't think Jay took him seriously. Right? Like, set your couch on fire. But anyway, I think now he talks normal. He doesn't use that voice anymore. So, and he's a director. Pretty good. He did that movie with Robin Williams. Was it World's Greatest Dad?
He's directed some pretty interesting movies that I saw. Yeah, World's Greatest Dad was one of them. That was like a dark comedy, so I guess really good at directing those. And he also did that other movie I like too with Bill Murray's brother. God Bless America was pretty all right.
Yeah.
You ever seen that one?
I think so. That's what. No, I don't know. I did not see that one.
Yeah, Bill Murray's brother Joel Murray was in that, and it was a pretty interesting film too. That was like a dark comedy as well. Yeah, I mean, I know he's kind of been known more for directing stuff and more than. I mean, he's kind of done it all, honestly. At least from looking at his IMDb page.
Yeah, he also directed a spoof movie, which I watched. This guy, his name's Perry Caravello. He streams every Monday and Fridays on YouTube. PCL, that's what they call it, Perry Caravello Live. And he has some mental problems because he was in a car accident when he was like 18 or 20, a really bad one that almost killed him, and his brain doesn't work properly anymore. So he's very weird. But you got it's a niche thing. But anyway, Bobcat pulled this prank on him. And Bobcat and the guy's friends, and they made a whole movie, and they told him he was going to be cast in a movie because he was an actor, and he was going to be cast in this movie. It was revolving around him. And that it was called Windy City Heat, and he was going to be a private investigator. And they just did this whole spoof on him, and then they set up pranks that they were doing on him, like behind the scenes. That he believes it because he's got this problem. So it was funny. And now he does these streams, and people just troll the shit out of him. They leave comments. He literally thinks that Gina Carano is coming to his house to have sex with him. Like, he believes this.
How long has that been?
Oh, it's been a few months now. He's pretty pissed. Now he's pretty... Because then they got him... Because the guy who does it with him, because he can't function. So the guy's in New York. He's in California. The guy could control his computer. I don't know how the fuck they have this technology, but he controls everything. But he basically got a fucking girl to call, and she sounds like Gina. And she was talking about, "Oh, baby, when I get you." And I was like, "Oh, my God." And he believed it. He goes, "Oh, honey," and everything. So it's sometimes it's funny. I'll troll. I'll pretend I'm Christopher Walken. I did that one day. I pretended I was Christopher Walken. And I put the periods after everything I was saying. I was like, "Perry, why don't you tell the people how you are responsible for Natalie Wood's death?" Right? Like I told that, like, Perry, I told the FBI.
A commitment to the bit.
Yeah, I told Perry I'm the FBI. I went to the FBI and I told him I told him the role you played in Natalie Wood's death. And he went crazy. He was like, "What the?" Or I'll pretend I'm Mike Tyson. He got scared because he was acting. See, he acts really rational and goes crazy. And people pay him thousands of dollars to do stupid shit. They'll like pour peanut butter all over your face and your body, and he'll do it. Or it's crazy. But anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah, he seemed ahead of the curve for like that NPC thing they were doing for a little while on TikTok. You know that. No. That one black chick that was making a lot of money doing that.
Yes, but this is
kind of like that.
A little bit different because they're just sending her emojis and she's just making expressions. They really send money and they do offers and they'll pool money together like $300 and you got to do this and you got to do that and like he'll do it and it's or sometimes he'll go crazy crazy. If I was his neighbor I'd hate it, but people send him food and they'll send him like. Like lots of I tried to send him food one time, but I had the wrong address. I had his fucking PO box.
Well, whoever got it,
nobody got it. The guy called me. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? There's no house here. it's a PO box." Yeah, I was like, "Oh fuck!" I said, "Just throw it out." I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna pay for it. Just throw it out." No, because it was Indian food. I got the spiciest thing. He wasn't gonna eat it. It was
good stuff.
I just wanted his house to smell and him go crazy because he would.
What a waste of curry.
Yeah, but anyway, yes, that's why I bring up Perry because of Bobcat directed a movie, Windy City Heat, which is pretty funny. Anyway, so back to the episode. He knocks on his door. He starts doing the ventriloquist thing, and he's just his mouth is just moving. He didn't even try, and I think that was the point. He's like, "Hey, look at me!"
He's comically terrible at it. Yeah.
And Don Rickles goes, "What does he say? Oh my fucking God!" He says something like that, like, "Oh Jesus Christ! Like I can't believe this."
Yeah, he thought I was. I think he thought I was like a solicitor or something, and he'd rather have just dealt with them than this fucking fanboy that showed up 15 years later.
Once he saw him, he goes, "I'm not leaving until you talk to me." "Hi, my name is Tim." And then, oh no. Is it Tim or Mort? I forgot which one he was, but I think he goes, yeah, Dominic goes, "Oh shit." Like he goes, "I got a fucking fan in my house, stalked me." So then he goes in, and funny enough, he's wearing the same outfit almost that he wore as a kid.
Yeah, it's true, right?
Yeah, because he was wearing that.
He's wearing the same thing.
Yeah, when he was, I guess it was a big deal. I don't know. I think it probably was trying to take place in the 50s. Or 60s, and then I don't know, because we never really get a time frame, because this doesn't feel right.
It's hard to say. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it's around that time, but it's not really that important. But yeah, I think it is something that we noticed that it could have been at least cleared up a little bit. But anyways, yeah, I mean he goes there and just kind of wants to get some help from him to be a better ventriloquist, and they go see his show coming up that he's doing, like a amateur night, and then Billy sees like an article from 15 years ago when the club burned down. So apparently the showgirl that was going to go out with him, we saw earlier in the episode, died in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
But he managed to survive, and then he had his hand covered, so it looked like he maybe got burned or something, or there's something that affected him.
Because he said, well, he tells him, like, he says, like, he doesn't like memory, like he has all these memorabilia and things, so he finds the article.
Like he had some sort of traumatic event during that fire, it seemed like.
Yeah, that's what he tells him. He goes, "Well, why? You could have used your left hand." Bobcat asked him. He told him, "You could have used your left hand. Why didn't, you didn't have to stop it?" He goes, "No, this is the magic hand. This is the hand that did everything. You can't just switch it up." And he goes, like, "Why'd you come here? To pry into my history? Like, you just came, like, to bother me and bring up bad memories? Like, I don't want to remember any of these things." Yeah. And he's like, "No, tomorrow's my first night, an amateur night, basically, like." And I'm, which is where Elvis was found, I think. I think he was. No. Well, I think so. I think someone saw Elvis. I don't know. Anyway, so it's amateur.
That club.
Dude, that's why I feel like it's the 50s because they don't. I don't know. Maybe they did in the 70s or 90s still. I don't know.
I want to say it's around that time. But that's what it seems like because I don't think it's not in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't think it's the 90s at all. Either. I think it's set. I think most of these originally, until like. The first 2 seasons are supposed to be set at whatever time period the comics came out. I feel like they were just adapting. But then again, no, because which one's the one with Bill Sadler? The episode with him, that felt like 1989. And the one with Leah Thompson felt like 1989. So it's hard
Well,
to. It's hard.
Joey Pants episode felt like it was even farther
Farther
back.
back,
I
yeah,
would
right,
say
yeah, the sick like that also felt like 60s.
maybe like in the 20s or something.
No, well, yeah, because no, about 50s, and they used to have those freak shows and things like that back then. And
Well, it's hard to say because I don't think we ever got a shot of anything outside of just the circus.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean we can make that assumption.
yeah,
But yeah, and then we go back to the open night. It looks like almost the same club as we saw in the beginning. So I don't know if they rebuild
yeah.
it
I
or
don't know.
what.
By the he,
They
but
just
he,
reused the same set.
but that's what he was there for. He wanted him to come see him so he could give him like pointers on what he needs
Yeah.
to do to improve himself. And basically,
The line of the episode that I liked before Billy went up there and bombed, as the comedy would say, the term bomb. He just sucked. He sucked. He was terrible. There was a chick beforehand doing some like some twirling or whatever, and then it's like what is the line they said when he got back on there? He's like, bring the chick back with the tits.
yeah,
That one got me.
I think
Something like that.
I think probably let's say it was supposed to be modern day, but it has like it feels like there are elements that make it look like it's past. But anyway, because the clothing later on when he's at the other club, it looks more modern. And I didn't really get a look at the car. I think the car was like an 80s car that he drove up in. So, yeah. But anyway, so he goes up after the girl with the batons. She's a baton twirler, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes up
That's
there
what she was doing.
and Mr. Engels is there watching in the back. And as soon as he gets on, he fucking head pops off on his dummy. It's like, go home. Just go home. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you even stay there? Like, everyone's just saying, like, listen, man, it's 1989. Nobody gives a shit about ventriloquists. Get off. We want to hear some comedy. Or like you said, get the girl back with the tits. And they just start booing him like crazy. And he's horrible. He's just talking to the mic and his mouth is moving. He learned nothing. He's wanted to do this since he was a kid. It's like, what the fuck? You have no talent.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing with his life for the whole time. Like he could have had at least a good set or something, but he just didn't. He just got stage fright, I guess it seemed like, and then the head popped off, as you mentioned. He just didn't have anything. And he didn't have anything to present. So, as expected, yeah, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
All
So he bombs hard, and then Rickles or Mr. Engels goes to the bar, and he's approached by his daughter. Oh no, his daughter's next to him. So he's approached by a whore, and next to him is Richard Donner making out with Don Rickles' fucking daughter.
Yeah, what a turn of events. We had that. I saw it come up on the IMDb trivia, so I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I was like, wait a second. It just says that the guy talking to the girl. He's not talking. He's making out with the girl. It was like,
yeah, they need to edit this.
Yeah, I'll hire your daughter to be an extra as long as well, he kissed her like, I think it wasn't a real kiss, like a television kiss even. It was like more like a kiss like that. So it wasn't anything serious. But Bobcat goes up to him because I forgot Bobcat's name in this episode. I know the name of Mr. Engels and Morty, his thing. Oh, Billy's his name. That's his name, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So Billy goes up to Mr. Engels and he goes, I was pretty bad, wasn't I? Can't do Bobcat's voice. I've tried to do his voice so many times because I love Bobcat in Police Academy. Like, I don't give a shit about the Police Academies prior to Bobcat being in them. Like, I think they're decent movies. The first one was like a real movie, kind of real comic, but like more grounded in reality. But the third one, and I think he shows up in the third one. And then the fourth one, he's a cop. The third one, he shows up, he's a bad guy. And then he becomes a cop in the fourth one. And I think David Spade is in one of these fucking Police Academy movies too as a kid. I was like, what the fuck? I think he was a recruit, Citizens on Patrol. I think he was one of the Citizens on Patrol, David Spade. But anyway, he goes up to Mr. Engels and he's like, it was really bad. And he goes, no, you weren't that bad. And he goes, yeah, you suck. I think you should find a new profession in life. And then he's like,
yeah, he tried to be nice, and then he's like, I was just gonna tell you,
then
you fucking suck.
Billy goes, all right, and he leaves, and he's just like, wait, you forgot your stupid dummy. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't want it anyway. So he walks out, and then all of a sudden, it looks like Mr. Engels got an itch or something. Because when he was first sitting at the bar, this prostitute came up to him and asked him, you're cute. You know, you want to have a good time." And he was like, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
So he got like this itch or this gleam in his eye. He goes up to her. He goes, all right, let's, you want to, can I buy you a drink or whatever? So then, they're going to have sex. And we see Billy go to the dumpster with the stupid doll. He starts hitting it, and then you hear a loud scream. And
yeah, he was like, everybody was right. And just slams his dummy against the trash can.
Everybody was right, yeah. And then Billy hears the scream. He runs to it. So, hey, he could be, this guy's a weird-looking dork kind of guy, but he's got something in him that, he ran to the danger. Maybe the fire he saw and the people that died when he was young, maybe he wants to help people because when he was a kid, he couldn't do something. I'm just trying to look into the character. Like, why would he rush to a scream? If anything, I'd be like, oh, I never. Never. I hear a scream, I'm not going.
The hell out of there.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like by the woods and stuff.
Unless you're a family member of mine and I'm out when I hear screaming, I don't know if it's you, I'm not going anywhere. I hear a scream, I'm turning around, walking away. So he runs to the danger and he sees that the prostitute was killed. I don't know if he saw, I don't think he saw her talking to Mr. Ingalls prior to when he got there. She was already gone. So I don't think so. So he sees that, he's like, oh my God.
No, she was already by the end of the bar.
Yeah. He goes, oh my God.
They start talking.
There's people there. And then, but he touches everything. Back then, there was no, I guess, fingerprint. It didn't really matter. That could have your fingerprint.
Yeah, he took his jacket off and just covered her.
Yeah, covered her. And then he's like, don't light anything. It smells of gasoline, right? So now I don't know if it's right then and there that he puts two and two together or he waits because he rushes to Mr. Engel's house, which I guess also lives very close to the club. It's
the same.
That's I think maybe this,
everything's so close to each other. Yeah. But yeah, I guess he put together. That's what we were led to believe. He just put those things together. It's like, oh, he might have had something to do with it.
Well, I think because when he rushes to the house, he goes, "Oh my God, thank God you're okay." I think I heard him say, "Thank God you're okay," but I could be wrong. But Mr. Engels is injecting himself what appears to be heroin, and so he rushes in. He's like, "Mr. Engels," and he goes, "Get out of here!" Right? And then they start arguing because he takes I think it's morphine, not heroin.
He said it was morphine. Yeah. He was putting it into his right arm.
Yeah. So then Bobcat basically says he throws it away. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And they start arguing, and he pushes him against the wall. And he's like, "You're a fucking junkie. It was you. You killed the lady. You smell like gasoline. I could smell it all over you, right?" It's like, "You probably started that fire years ago too." And then Mr. Engels is like, "No, you don't understand. I never killed anybody. It wasn't me." And he goes, "Don't lie to me. You killed her. You killed that lady." And he's like, "No, it was Morty." And then Bobcat's like, "What?" Like, he's like, "It was Morty. Morty killed him." He's like, "This guy's insane." He's just really, this guy has dementia.
Yeah, because he was talking about the dummy. So he's like wondering if he's got split personality, but then Rickles is like, "No, it ain't that." Yeah. And then he starts.
No, he goes like, he tries to convince him because Billy thinks he's crazy. And
Billy tries to convince him otherwise, and he just goes to take out Morty from the storage box that he kept him in.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, you see Rickles pull out a cleaver tea. He pulled out a tiva cleaver.
It's called cleaver tea. Yeah. What does he goes? I forgot what. That's a good. That. I'll talk about that another time. But so he's looking. He goes, "No, not again. Don't make me do this again." He's like ready to kill him, and Bobcat's like, "Look, see, he's just wood, and he can't find the head of Morty." And he goes, "It's just wood. That's all it is, or whatever." And then he turns around, and whack, the cleaver hack. I guess the other hack right there smashes into the case, and then they start struggling over it. And Mr. Engels gets away, and he goes, "Yeah, look in the box." He goes, "Look at the box. You didn't find a head, did you? Right? No. Just keep looking. You'll find it." And he goes, "You see that? It's more like a mask, isn't it?" "That's right, because Morty isn't a dummy. Morty is my brother." He pulls out the fucking black cloth that was covering his hand that supposedly got burnt, and it's the coolest fucking special effect ever.
Really well done, yeah.
Very well done, especially for this show. I could see why some episodes were really low budget, like our friend for the sacrifice episode. This was phenomenal. And there was a time where I was like, "Is that wires?" Because it looked like wires, and then some scenes you didn't see the wire, and in some scenes you did. No, the wire was the freaking when he was trying to inject himself with the morphine in his arm. So I realized that later because, okay, so he shows him, and then I don't know who does the voice because the voice is amazing. It's this high pitched voice that I was like, oh my God. He goes,
I think it was Rickles doing it.
no, doing the voice of the.
I don't know who. I would assume so because he was doing that same voice or early in the beginning when they had that when he was a kid.
No, but
I'm assuming it was him, but I couldn't find
Morty,
anywhere credited of the voice.
Oh.
For Morty, at least. I'm gonna assume it might have been Rickles, but if you look through the beginning and end credits, I don't see anything mentioned about
So
who voiced
he did
Morty's.
the voiceover. I thought you were saying like he was Mr. Engels was the real one. I'm like, what are you talking about? We saw. Okay, yes, you're saying that.
Yeah.
You think Rickles did the voice of? I don't think
That's
so.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think they just never credited the guy who did the voice. I mean, I don't know.
Which is strange that they didn't, but yeah. So I mean, that's the reveal is that the ventriloquist is like his brother. Had some sort of. It was like Tuato on his hand, like from Total Recall, but the effects on it were pretty solid like that too. It was kind of like an extension of him, which speaking of like Siamese twins, that's something
that's
we'll
another
discuss on a later episode. That's kind of similar like this, but on his hand.
This was so cool. I think this has been used in another movie. I feel like that somebody ripped this off, or because it just feels like I know this is the original. Right, I know that for a fact. I don't think anyone ever did. The ventriloquist idea coming to life had been done before, but the fact that it was his hand that was a fucking living thing with eyes, and again, it looks phenomenal. I don't, but especially for 1990, I can't. Maybe if it was in 4K or whatever is out, 6K now, whatever, right? It probably won't look as good, but phenomenal. And that back of the head, everything, the eyes moving and blinking. I mean, the animatronics. This is one of the best, and it doesn't even have full hands. He has like penguin, like the penguin, like Danny DeVito's penguin. He's got I don't know,
like
flippers. Yeah, flippers. So that was really cool. Okay, so we just found something out. I want to do a correction, or we'll just cut it out. So I'm surprised he didn't kiss her better than Richard Donner. So Richard Donner, I could have sworn the trivia was that it was. Don Rickles' daughter, but no, it's supposedly Richard Donner's wife. His actual wife was whatever. Oh no, I don't know. Wait, because Mindy Rickles is here too. It says Mindy Rickles, girl at bar.
Yeah, it gets confusing because I don't know who's who. I think so the lady at the bar, that looks like Donner's wife, and I don't know who the other girl at the bar is that isn't the prostitute.
Wait a second.
That's Mindy Rickles, but who's?
Oh yeah, that is Donner's wife. Okay, but then who's Mindy? That's why I got confused. Because the girl at the bar is
the trivia
is Mindy Rickles. I don't see any.
Threw it off.
They said the girl next to Donner is Mindy. Isn't that the trivia question? I'll tell you
that's the trivia. That's the trivia that people added on here on IMDb. I mean, they could be wrong. These are.
It does say she's there though. It does say she's credited as being at the bar, but there's no girl at the bar besides the two married couple, the Donner and his wife.
That's his wife. And Mindy, I don't know where she is in this scene. Maybe she was somewhere else, but that we didn't see. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, she's not there. We just looked it up, guys, watching it, and she's not there. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
The prosthetics on that was really well done. I think that's where most of that money went. It seemed like because there was a cool scene too where Billy was getting through to Mr. Ingalls, and he goes and just chops his arm off. That scene was pretty solid.
Yes.
That blood.
So
and the makeup there was really good.
No, what happens is that Morty starts talking shit, and he starts saying, "I was he didn't have the talent. It was all me. It was my idea to do this. It was my idea to do that. He sucks. He has no talent. I wrote the bits. I did everything. He's basically he's a hack. Like he can't cut it on his own. So he kind of stopped, and then he realized that there was other things that prevent that. Like he didn't I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain what he kind of realized at that moment, but it feels like he realized this is what I hated, and this is why I kept him drugged. It wasn't so much about killing the girl, which yes, that was the main thing. Like it fucked everything up, but he's been a shithead. He was always a shithead, and I always had to deal with this. And this is why I decided to keep him drugged up. It's really because of that.
Well, Morty mentioned like how like they were trying to avoid maybe getting taken to the circus, or avoiding like being an attraction at the circus, which is why they kind of decided to take up the business of doing this ventriloquist comedy act. That was part of it too, and that's what we established, that it was keeping him sedated with morphine. That's why we saw him earlier injecting himself with something. But the whole thing, it was pretty cool. It got a little silly, but it was intended that way. When Billy was chasing Morty all over the house here, and
don't skip yet.
You see like half a body there.
You kind of did go. You did mention it, but yeah. So he chops him off. After he hears this, he goes, breaking up the act. That's what he says. He goes, I'm breaking up the act. So he cuts him off, and he screams or whatever. But then this is I love this episode. I remember as a kid being so creeped out of Morty just scurrying around like he's got like a weird alien. It's like an alien movie. Yeah, that's what it felt like an alien, like the mouth huggers or whatever, like just scurrying around, slithering a snake or some shit. And then he could talk shit, and he's talking shit, and then
he was talking shit.
So he goes, no, Mr. What does Bobcat say to him, Mr. Ingalls? He goes, no, I'm finally like free, basically. He's like I don't care, I'm done, But because when they were fighting, he's like, you're the ventriloquist, he's the dummy. That's when fucking Morty's like, fuck him, he sucks. He would be nothing without me. Being stuck with him is the worst. That comes back to the other Siamese thing later on in another episode, which is similar. It's like being stuck with somebody you don't like. That has to be miserable, because like brothers and family members don't always get along. And like I have a friend who has a brother that is a year older than him, and some drama happened in there, and they don't like each other anymore, and that's fucked up. And that's almost like twins being a year apart. I guess they call it Irish twins, right? So that's kind of sad. But anyway,
well, yeah, part of it too. He's also had a strong proclivity to women too, so he couldn't really do. He couldn't do too much.
That was the whole thing that, like he said, like he always liked women, but he can't be with a woman. Because he doesn't have anything to be with a woman. So, and then when they see him, they're scared. But anyway, he's the scariest fucking little thing I've ever seen. Like, and then it looks like a baby. He looks like he's the bald head of an old, like, it's weird. He looks like a baby and an old man at the same time. And it's gross, but he scurries after Mr. Ingalls cuts him off. And he's like, I'm finally free. He's like, oh, fuck you, you're dead. And he just rips a big chunk of his neck off like a zombie movie. And there's blood everywhere. And then he scurries away like a little rat. And he's like, blood.
Yeah, he tries chasing him around. And he gets like behind the oven. And he's chasing him around. Billy's chasing him around with a baseball bat. And there's a cool scene too, because you see he goes back on Rickles' shoulder. Morty was just talking shit again, and then Billy goes to swing, and then you get a really quick shot of Rickles, like a Rickles dummy, like getting hit a baseball bat right in the face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was really well done.
That was hilarious. Because it looked so good too. That's another shot that looked really good. Because
I had to watch it in slow motion. You see they cut like a dummy real quick, but it's so fast that it looked really well done.
This has to be in the 90s, because I believe Bobcat calls him a Cabbage Patch Kid. It's like he's an inbred Cabbage Patch Kid, so we know. I don't know when the Cabbage Patch Kids were created, but oh my God, he's so tiny, he's so creepy. So then, he was on the shoulder, he hits him, fucking the dummy flat, but it looks so good. It really does look good.
And he misses him, and then he's on the other side of the room, and then he
It's a plank of wood.
steps he stomps the plank of wood, and
Yeah.
then Billy goes
Like a
flying and just
cartoon.
swings
Yeah.
out like a baseball, and
But
then
it,
he
it
goes
works
flying, yeah, like a cartoon.
because when he came into the house, he stepped on that plank and almost fell because it was off. So then
Yeah,
later, when he knows that it's there, that's why he stepped on it, stomps on it, and he flies and he hits him with the bat and fucking hits him, bounces off the wall, lands into a meat grinder. It was like bingo. It's like a cartoon, but it works. And
yeah,
then
it was funny.
Billy grabs him and starts grinding him up, and he's like, "Oh no, oh I'm dying." It's
And what was
fucking.
he making? And what was he making?
I'm making asshole casserole. That's what he says, right? He's like,
And
I'm
you're the
making
main
it-
ingredient.
And you're the main ingredient. Yeah, that's a
said-
great line. Oh god,
Yeah.
that is
That was
100.
great.
Frank Darabont is fucking amazing writer. He is so good. Like I said, all his movies are great. He's a fucking. He was robbed from the Oscar technically, but I mean that year a lot of great movies came out. Because Shawshank came out the same year as Forrest Gump and Pulp Fiction. I mean, those are three really good movies.
Yeah, that's 3 great movies.
So as he's grinding him, he's pleading for his life, and he says, "I'll do anything, oh, whatever you want." And he goes, "Like anything?" And he's like, "Yeah." So the deal is he won't kill him, which I don't know how he's living. But then again,
Right, I don't know
this is
how he
science
survives.
fiction. It's like, and he keeps him. He's like, he's gonna be his new act, and then. So Billy just dresses up exactly like Mr. Engels used to when Mr. Engels was younger, and he has
Right, yeah,
Billy.
he had the
I think
hat
it's
on,
Billy
too.
again. It's not. It's just Billy, and yeah, he's got the stupid hat, the black suit, and he's using Billy as Billy made a comeback, and he's telling jokes, and then what happens is the same thing that happens every time is that Morty sees a woman, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And he starts talking. Maybe it is Rickles, and they just did something with the voice, because he's doing crowd work, and he's like, I forgot what he said. I bet you could suck something through a garden hose. He basically does some really inappropriate things but she's blushing because back then, maybe they were uncomfortable, some women, but I think women were more used to being in comedies with. I don't know. Comedy is it is still vulgar. There are comedians that are still vulgar, but
Well, it's a comedy club, so you kind of expect to get roasted in some way, or at least
but I don't think
get brought into the act these days. You think so?
No,
I haven't been in a comedy show in a bit.
Well, you were
Not as bad as that.
You were at this girl's comedy show, but you were drunk, heavily drunk. You told me, so you didn't remember much of it.
Oh, Chrissy, yeah.
Yeah.
Chrissy's, yeah.
So maybe that's why you were too drunk to remember. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to one in years, like a long, long time. And the guy was doing crowd work. But back then, it still was, at the time, literally was fucking, I think 15. It was, yeah, about 15
Well, that's
years
also
ago.
what you're going expecting. But there's people that take it too personally when they're whenever they get roasted by a comedian when they're going to a show. But that's part of it. That's part of the experience. That's the crowd work aspect. So
Actually, I think it was like 10 years ago. Or more. Yeah, 10 years
10
ago.
years.
Yeah, that we went to Dangerfields, and
Hey.
yeah, he has a club in New York City, and we went there, and there was a comedian doing crowd work, and I think I got drunk. I don't remember any of the comedians after that guy came up. It was, I don't even know who he was. It wasn't that good of a night, yeah, at all. So I don't think it was that fun. Then again, that's what
even
you do.
afterward,
They have a
yeah.
2-drink minimum, and they don't really water down the alcohol like they do at a club. Like they actually give you. It's a little bit water, but less than when if you go to a club, you get a shot or you get anything. You could drink a lot because they're watering down the fucking drinks, right? At a nightclub, they don't water it down that much because they want you drunk, but they don't want you drunk with your heckling, But they want you drunk enough where you're gonna laugh at fucking jokes and shit and not take things too seriously necessarily. I think. So, but yes,
Right.
I haven't been to the comedy club in
I'd
a
say
long
so,
time.
yeah.
But I would assume it's not as good as it used to be, like with Eddie Murphy or Andrew Dice Clay, even though people don't like Andrew Dice Clay that much. But
Oh no, they're in the league of their own. That
Yeah.
there's those kind of comedy.
Or Rickles,
acts.
yeah,
It's
Rickles.
just not as there anymore.
Rickles, but Rickles, honestly, I don't want to
Yeah,
say. I've never found Rickles.
We got
that
the new
funny.
rising stars. We got the new rising stars coming up, like Brendan Schaub.
Oh yeah, he's one of the funniest. Fucking CTE, that's what he is. But anyway, Oh, Gringo Poppy. What
So
a great
yeah, like
Pico de
so like
Gallo.
yeah.
You know, we
Oh
let me
yeah,
tell the inside.
comedic genius.
But so he's on stage, he's seeing a girl, and he's like, "Listen, asshole, like we had a deal. Like you're gonna stick to the script, or stick to what we rehearsed, and you're not gonna fucking start going off on women again, or I'm gonna fucking grind you up. I'm gonna kill you." And because he's just loose, he's just loose. He's just holding him, right? But he's not attached to him. But then all of a sudden he goes, I think I'm renegotiating the contract or some shit. And then you hear Billy starts screaming. And he's like, ah. And then people start getting up and walking out. And they're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, screaming in pain.
And then the mask falls off on Billy, on Morty. And you see that Morty somehow is grafting himself onto Billy's hand, and you just see fingers sticking out of Morty's neck, which is like, what? How is he talking? But whatever, he's just laughing the entire time about, like, you know, now you're fucked, now you're stuck with me. But now everyone knows, you know, that this fucking thing is there, and that's how the episode ends. And it is one of the
I think that's the best way it could have ended. He morphs into his hand, and that's the end.
What did you say? Time to scratch your ass, Buster, or something like that, or try to scratch your ass, something like that. But
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But this is the only part where it didn't look as good. I think the thing when it had the fingers sticking through.
Not as well.
Yeah, not as well. But it was okay.
Otherwise, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, the episode in general, fantastic episode. Great, really one of the best episodes. And then I didn't even know Frank Darabont wrote it until right before we did the podcast, because I did not even look up the director or writer. I think I saw that it was Donner, because looking at the trivia, that Donner was the director. But I had no idea that Frank Darabont wrote this, and that's fun. And then you could tell it's just a great, concise 20 minutes, and so much was done. It was so good. This is a 5 stars. I think 5 stars. When I think of Tales from the Crypt, this is one of the episodes I think of. Because
it's a perfect combo of great casting, the story's interesting, everything that's presented, it has a purpose, and you enjoy it, and it just goes by really quick. I mean, that's the hallmark of a great Tales from the Crypt episode. I mean, we got some good horror and some blood and good makeup. So I mean, I think it's otherwise, yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything I really dislike besides the small little nitpicks that we're trying to figure out what time period this was taking place of. But other than that, solid 5 out of 5 for me as well.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got any plugs you want to do?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on X/Twitter, I'm under Splinter47. So I'll just any updates I have going on, I'll throw them up there, or any retweets, it'll be up there as well.
All right, and you can do the same for us at Creeps of Crypt on X. Just go to X and look up Creeps of Crypt, and you'll find us there. We'll post this stuff on there. And, YouTube, Rumble, and those places. If you want to leave a comment about this episode, go ahead and do so. Leave us a review. It kind of helps us as well. And then go check out ghostcrusadersmerch.com. If you like any of the shirt designs or any one of them, think about buying them, and you're kind of helping us out. In the long run, you will be helping us out if you do that. But, so that's today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you guys next time.
Take care, guys. See you on the next one.
Whoa, that's different. It's supposed to be peace, but all right. See you on the next one. I'm gonna.
You had a long peace delay there.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. That's why I was like, oh, okay. I didn't say peace. I was waiting for you to say it. All right. So that's what you always say. So that's why I was like checking. I was like, whoa, something's not right here. But yeah. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.